nakuja bila kitu na sitoki bila kitu, mwanangu azaliwe na kakitu, usitoke bila kitu. Aye, kila siku naishi kama sina kitu, mishowe miliwe na kakitu, akisitoke bila kitu.
I wanna build a home with you, I'm putting all my hope in you, and I could be anywhere in the world, but home is where I'm with you. I wanna build a home with you, I'm putting all my hope in you, and I could be anywhere in the world, but home is where I'm with you. Baby, usijali.
Good evening. Hello. Hope you're all well. Marwa, I see Marwa is already commenting. Hi Marwa, thank you for tuning in. We're looking forward to tonight as well. Karibuni, all of you. It's 1 minute past 7 a.m. or sorry, 7 p.m. in Nairobi, Kenya. And welcome to our weekly live Q&A session. As always, if you have questions about real estate investment, land buying, land selling, what the law has to say about buying and selling of land here in Kenya, please send them through. If you have a friend, family, member, loved one, members of your investment group, your chama, your SACCO, that you think or believe would benefit from any of the conversation we're gonna have today, please quickly send them the link before we get too far into the session. Make sure you only do so for people you like and love. Good vibes only, as always. And once again, karibuni, all of you. In case I'm a stranger to you, my name is Solomon Wangwe, the founder and managing director of Goshen Acquisitions Limited, as well as its wholly owned subsidiary, Grand Acres Limited, which is also a registered trademark of Goshen Acquisitions. We are specialists in land investment, hands down the best, the most trusted, the most consistent, and the most savvy land sellers in Kenya. And that's not a boast, it's just a statement of fact. Thank you very much. So let's get on with tonight's session. As always, we like to keep time. Very quickly, if you haven't sent the invite to someone you like or love that could benefit from this convo, please go ahead and do so quickly. All of you on IG, thank you so much for making time to join. Sorry, I'm trying to read your names behind me. I have like three phones or cameras right in front of me because we're streaming live on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right?
Yes.
What else? And LinkedIn. So 4 platforms, right? So you'll forgive me if I seem to be looking sideways. I'm looking at 3 one-eyed monsters positioned right in front of me, just so I can see who else is tuning in. And let's get started. Quick note, for those of you on Instagram, there's a question tab at the bottom. For your questions, send them to that tab, please, just so that we can track them. Okay, it helps for us to track your questions because we can also follow up later in the event that your question requires, greater depth than we might be able to cover during the 1-hour live session. So Instagram people, please use the question tab to send your questions in, and we should be good to go. All right, let's go. What's our first question, guys? Send in your questions, good people. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Kuuliza sio ujinga, kama tunavyosema kwa Kiswahili. So send them through. Okay, here's our first one. Kabaka Njuki on Instagram. Hey Kabaka, thank you so much for making time to join our live session today. Your question reads, how hard or how easy is it to get a mother title to a land bought years back? Mother title. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Njuki. Kabaka underscore Njuki. If you're still live, please provide me some context because mother title, when we use the term mother title, we're referring to parcels of land that have been subdivided from a larger block of land. So which one are you referring to, the smaller one or the larger one? Now, if we're talking about a subdivision of a larger property, the mother title would no longer exist because it gets defaced by the lands authority at the registry, annulled, cancelled, defaced, and then they produce new files for the subdivisions of it. Okay, so if that's what you're asking, you would not be able to get a mother title. Okay, because it gave birth to subdivisions. And unlike human beings, when land gives birth to little babies, it dies. The mother dies and the children live on, so on and so forth. Okay, so unless I'm missing something, give me some context, I can answer your question a bit more specifically. Okay, just among Kenya, I recently took my parents to view their land. Who is responsible for the inroads in the area? Their land is approximately 15 kilometers from the main road in Ruai area. Just a moment, that's a great question. So whenever someone subdivides a piece of land, they are required by law and policy to create access roads out of that subdivision. Usually what that means is the subdivider will lose a certain percentage of the mother title to the road surface because you have to create clean accessibility to every subsequent subdivision. Okay, now as much as that might be done on paper on the mutation forms and the registered or the registry index maps, if they are indeed updated, very often people don't actually do it on the ground. The space is there on the ground, but the road has not been created. Who is responsible for creating the road? Strictly speaking, that is a responsibility of county and the national governments if you surrender the public space to the authorities, as you're required to. I hope you're tracking along, okay? So for a place like Ruai, you're talking about thousands of acres that were owned by multiple people, SACCOs, entities, probably in the thousands, who then subdivided further and so on and so forth. If you're 15 kilometers from the main road, that's quite telling. It gives you an idea of the length and breadth of the original mother block or the ranch. Maybe it was a group ranch or it was government property that got adjudicated to the local people there who then resold, so on and so forth. All that is supposed to be done by the governing authority with jurisdiction for the class of that road. So roads are classified. Some fall under national government, under Kenya National Highways Authority. Others fall under national government under Kenya Rural Roads Authority, and others fall under county. Okay, so you need to be sure which road roads you're referring to. Chances are you're getting off the main highway under Kenha, and then there's a Kura one, that's a Rural Roads Authority one, and then you get into smaller ones which are supposed to be under the county. I hope that answers your question, just a mom, which is why companies like Goshen Acquisitions and Grand Acres go through the pain of investing extra to actually do the roads on the ground. And we are sufficiently motivated to do so because we need to provide you as a customer clean access to the land that we are selling or offering to you. Okay? And there's a commercial component to that because it's not a charitable activity. That cost is very often absorbed into the selling price of our subdivided lands. And if you're like Goshen Acquisitions or Grand Acres, in many cases, you will find the road has not only been cleared on the site and graded. The term grading means to clear or scrape the top soil with a grader, a grading machine, to make it motorable or accessible, so you're not driving over rocks and bushes and twigs and trees and that sort of thing. But we go one step further to even maram the surface. We pour hardcore maram. We'd even compact it. In some cases, we even excavate the topsoil to a certain depth and backfill it with maram so that the road can last for longer, especially if it's going to be used by heavy equipment, trucks carrying construction material, and so on. And then we pass that cost on to the customer in the price of the land. That's just how it works. Otherwise, if you're going to wait for the county or the national government, it might never get done. And if you don't have clean access to your land, then it's really not good value for you, because you can't use it, or it's too costly to access it, to use it. And why invest in something that you can't use or access? And also, it's not desirable when it's not accessible. So that also impedes your ability to sell it later for a profit, because either way, it should give you a return at some point. Okay, so that's my long-winded answer to that question. Who is responsible? The governing authorities, county and or national government. But in cases where you're buying from a land company like ourselves, and not all land companies will do roads to our caliber, I will tell you without fear of contradiction that we generally do much better surface quality roads than most companies in this country, because we pour maram, and good quality of maram, and we also compact it. And that means you send a giant roller, 15-ton or a 30-ton roller, to compact the maram in layers, because when you compact it, it is less likely that the surface will get agitated or disturbed by heavy equipment, or even washed away by surface runoff when it rains, and the road will last for longer. In some cases, like in our project in Acacia Cove, Nanyuki, and Olkekun in Naivasha, we're going all the way to doing cobblestone surface, which is basically doing a road to national highway standards up to the base, and then we finish the surface off with cobblestones instead of tarmac. Why cobblestones? It's just nicer, it's more quaint and more appropriate for residential commercial use, as opposed to tarmac, which is also extremely expensive. So I hope that answers your question. Just a mom, thank you very much. We have a question here from Matt, the Debonair, on Instagram. What's up, Matt? Thank you for your question. Yes, Gladys.
Thank you.
My beautiful head is getting left out of this frame. Okay. This is why you guys need to get get better equipment, guys. Come on. Pesa sio shida. Okay, Matt, the Debonair on Instagram. What are the cheapest deals you have? Wow. Okay. Thank you for that question, Matt. Forgive me for being OCD about it, but we don't do cheap. So I will edit your words just a little bit. The most affordable parcels that we have currently are in Imbuko 5, which are 1 massive acre lots. Imagine a whole acre. If you've never bought an acre of land, do yourself a favor, be kind to yourself, and purchase one of our Imbuko 5 lots before they are sold out, because there's only 2 of them remaining. Imbuko 5 has sold out fairly quick, just like Imbuko 3 and Imbuko 5. And so there's only 2 lots remaining for Imbuko 5. 1 massive acre, fully done according to the law, compliant with Kajiado County policies, change of use to residential purposes, because in that area you cannot have anything smaller than 20 acres. If it's agricultural, you have to change the use to get anything smaller. So we do. And these are going right now for 1.19 million shillings only. 1.19 million shillings only. And if you buy the last two, we'll give you a massive discount on the second one, up to 10% off on the second one. Okay, so give us a call if you haven't checked that out. You're interested in doing a site visit. Someone from my sales team will send you the brochure with all the details, including photos of the actual site, the site map, so you know what's available within the compound of what is mostly sold out at this point. And we'll get you on your way to owning our most affordable piece of land in Imbuko 5. And in case you're wondering, you can visit www.grandacres.co.ke and get more details, as well as booking a site visit. You can also WhatsApp directly on 07 001. Again, that's 07 001 0001, and someone will get back to you ASAP. Thank you, Matt, the debonair. Next question, please. Marwa, you say this is a long 5-part question. All right, let's go. Part 1. I have been looking into these places in rural Malindi. I love the place, especially the larger tracts of 10 plus acres. I am happy with the remoteness and the prices. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2. I am not looking to land bank or somewhere with great appreciation potential per se, but rather just have a large habitable piece of land with decent weather. Okay? Part 3, most have allotment letters, not title deeds. How does one do due diligence on an allotment letter, and how far back is it advisable to trace ownership to make sure that the land is 100% legit? Okay. Okay, let me tackle part 3 because I'll get lost in my answers. Part 3 is, how does one do due diligence on an allotment letter? Marwa, it is incredibly difficult to do proper due diligence on allotment letters. In fact, I recommend, if there is no title deed, run away, leave it alone. Not worth the risk at all. Even if you gave it to me for free, I wouldn't take it. No, thank you. It's virtually impossible to do proper due diligence on an allotment letter because it's very common for multiple people to have an allotment letter to the exact same parcel of land. Because there is no individual title deed for that, presumably the allotment letter is from a county authority. But a lot of people use allotment letters as a terminology when what they really mean is share certificate or something issued by a private entity as opposed to a public governing authority. Okay, so you have to be clear about who has issued the allotment letter. Number 1, that will determine what depths of research you can undertake to determine its legitimacy. Number 1. Number 2, that will also determine trustability of whatever information you're given, because if it's a private entity, absolutely zero meaning for us, and which is why we recommend for people not to bother with land that is not titled yet, especially if you're dealing with allotment letters and so on. Okay, that's question 1. Okay, question 2, which is part 4 of your long question, is I remember the experience you had selling land to a client who found out that the land had a caution at the DCI. Is it possible to have a Nairobi lawyer do due diligence for land in Malindi? Yes, it is possible, although that will generally mean that your legal fees are slightly higher, because unless they have a branch office in Malindi or at the coast, what they will do is send a clerk to the coast which is expensive. They have to cater for transportation, accommodation, and any other incidentals, food, blah, 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 which cost they will pass on to you. So just be aware. Uh, the other option for them is to partner with another law firm based at the coast, which is usually the more common approach that they will take, as opposed to sending a clerk from Nairobi. Is they will reach out to a fellow learned friend, as they call each other, at the coast, who will then conduct the due diligence for them. They will pass on the cost to you, so on and so forth. It is possible, but I recommend as much as possible, if you can identify a solid advocate who's based at the coast, and there's a few, uh, you use them, reach out to them. It will be a lot more efficient, and just because they know how to navigate the local registry. That's just how it works with government offices. You need infrastructure, relationships, clerks that you work with who are there on a daily basis. And that efficiency can make the difference between you getting the truth or a lie. Will also make the difference between you getting a search report or a due diligence report back in 3, 4, 5 days, as opposed to waiting 2 weeks or a month or even longer. So that's what I recommend. Okay, what does part 5 say? PS, on a lighter note, there are amazing places with lovely views on your way to Magadi from Kiseria. When are you coming these sides to scout? You're absolutely right, Marwa. That whole area, especially as you descend into the Rift Valley after Kiseria, breathtaking views. Amazing. I agree, 100%. The challenge with that area very often is accessibility of the parcels of land that are available. Number one. Number two, that happens to be part of Kajiado County. And as many of you might know, 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the governor, the current governor, His Excellency Joseph Olelenku, governor of Kajiado County, launched officially the new county spatial plan, which has zoned the entire county for specific uses and restrictions on uses of land. So a lot of those zones may not be suitable for our sort of activity, especially because we like to stick to due process. We don't cut corners by bribing government officials to turn a blind eye to an application that would allow us to do, for example, 50 by hundreds, which is what everyone likes to do. And incidentally, Kajiado County has absolutely banned the subdivision of 50 by hundreds within their county from here onwards, unless you're in a specific gazetted zone allowing that. Usually commercial trading centers along the main road arteries, and even then you're restricted to doing so within a 2-kilometer radius of that particular point, and most of those are gone obviously by now. So if we're going to be looking at providing affordable land in places like that that are a bit far removed from the rest of civilization, it's going to be super expensive. So, some commercial considerations go into our decisions about where to scout for land and where to do something that our customers might be interested in, or the general investor market. And for the time being, we haven't felt drawn to that particular area yet, but never say never. Who knows? Interest might change. A good opportunity, a good deal might come across, and we just can't say no. So stay tuned. And when we do some scouting, you will find that on another episode of the Grand King of Scoutland, an amazing asset that the team here put together, led by yours truly, Mr. George Akarwe, or M-Pesa Lady, as he's more commonly known. And we'll see how that goes. Thank you for your question, Marwa. Oh yeah, and that's Joji playing in the background if you're watching on Facebook. On the latest episode of the Grand King of Scoutland, where we scouted for land for the second time in Kedong, which is in Nakuru County. Okay, all right. Next question comes from Me Trude on TikTok. Me Trude, thank you for tuning in. And your question reads as follows: do you sell or plan to land in areas? Okay. Do you sell slash plan to land in areas close to Nairobi, i.e. Syokimau, blah blah blah. Okay. Um, Slight typo there, but what you're asking is, do we sell or plan to sell land in areas close to Nairobi, like Syokimau, Juja, and Rongata, Rongata, etc. Okay. Yes, I mean, we're always scouting opportunities. We do plan as long as it fits our criteria that we look for. The price is right, the size is right, and the county has no restrictions around what we can do in that particular area. Absolutely. And when we do find something in those zones, you will know, because we'll make a lot of noise about it. But thank you for asking. Thank you for following, and we hope we have something that you like in those zones sooner rather than later. Okay. Next question comes from 5136 on TikTok. 5136. Thank you for tuning in. And your question or statement reads as follows: I recently bought a piece of land. It has a title, but I don't know about the green card. Explain, please. Okay. 5136 on TikTok. I have done innumerable videos about the green card versus a title deed. You'll find those content pieces on our website, or links to them on our social media handles and platforms. But more directly, you can go to YouTube. Just search for Own Land in Kenya on YouTube, or you can search for Goshen Acquisitions on YouTube. There's how many videos do we have? Over 700 videos up now on what to look out for about all manner of things related to land buying and selling or investment. So please do that. It'll be a lot more comprehensive. I actually also covered this in last week's live session. So if you want something more recent, just go back to our archives and watch last week's live, which we did share on our social media platforms. And I explained it clearly enough. And if you have any other questions afterwards in that, reach out. We'll be happy to provide more context. But suffice it to say, a green card is the mother of a title. If you have a title deed that doesn't have a green card, you have problems, big ones. Green card is what gives birth to a title deed. It's kept under lock and key at the registry offices, so it's not a document you will ever see with your eyes. But the registrars, upon formal request from yourself, but ideally from your advocate, would make a certified copy for you after you pay the required fees, and it'll give you the history of that particular piece of land or that title deed from whenever it was created, even if it's as far back as pre-colonial or colonial times, pre-independence times. Okay, but go check out the videos, take notes, and send us questions if you have any thereafter. Okay. Viral food videos. Is it wise to purchase land in the capital city of Kenya, or is it too overpriced? What should foreign investors look into? Okay, is it wise to purchase land in the capital city of Kenya? Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely, extremely wise, because it's always going to be desirable, and there's very little of it left, so its value will only go up. Okay, that's number one. Is it too overpriced? Overpriced for who? That's a relative situation. Compared to international markets, it's not. And many investors, especially foreigners, come from places where land is way costlier. So is it overpriced? Depends on who you're asking. For sure, Kenyans are being overpriced, or I should say outpriced, okay, from their own market, from their own home. It's difficult for a local investor to compete with foreign capital, especially when you're competing with Chinese entities who generally borrow at very cheap rates from the government. And in some cases, it's the Chinese government itself that's buying land in Nairobi, and they will do so under an alias or doing business as. Very common practice in Kenya, Nairobi at the moment. It's difficult to compete with those economies just because relativity comes into play. It's expensive for us locals because these are the highest prices we've ever seen historically. In Lavington, where we are sitting now in our office, uh, parcels of land around here are going for 400 million shillings for an acre of land. That sounds expensive for a local Kenyan, yes. To a foreign national who comes from a place like New York, no. Hong Kong, no. Paris, no. Singapore, London, Amsterdam. I mean, all these nationalities are represented here now as investors. They're buying land, developing properties, and selling. So expensiveness is relative. Let me just leave it at that. What should foreign investors look into? Everything. First of all, if it's not leasehold, they can't buy it, so forget about it. Work with licensed advocates. Identify the best ones in the market to work with, guys. I sound like a broken record every week because I keep repeating it. Work with licensed professionals, especially when it comes to advocates. Make sure that they are licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Ideally, they are a conveyancing lawyer, meaning that they specialize in commercial real estate or property law. They know exactly what loopholes or pitfalls to look out for. Okay? Same goes for the other professionals. And do your homework, especially if you're not familiar with Nairobi. You'll get taken to the cleaners faster than you can blink. Even local Kenyans get taken to the cleaners. So don't be in a rush. Never be pressured into engaging. Do your due diligence. Work with licensed professionals, and do it now, because today is the cheapest that land will ever be in all likelihood. So do it now. Thank you for that question. Viral food videos. Nick Kosgei. Okay, Nick Kosgei is on YouTube. Hi, Nick. Thank you for tuning in and for sending in your question, which reads as follows. Hi, Solomon. What are the different annual taxes paid on land or property? 2, which government is this paid to, county or national government? Okay, what are the different annual taxes? So there's 2 annual taxes related to land in Kenya. The first one is rates. Rates are paid to the county government. Rent is paid to the national government. If your property is leasehold, you're going to pay both taxes every year. Rent to the national government, rates to the county government. Okay? If it's freehold, you should not pay rent at all to the national government. It's not supposed to be possible that you pay rent. Hence the term, freehold. You're not paying rent to the national government. Technically, also, you shouldn't be paying rates to the county. But in Kenya today, many counties, because of their need to localize or internalize their own revenue generation opportunities for their county governments, have started levying rates on freehold lands within their jurisdiction. So rates, rent, rate to the county, rent to the national government, and that's as far as annual taxes are concerned. Okay, thank you for that question. Dikos Gay. John Kinyanjui, 799. You're watching us from YouTube. Thank you for tuning in, John. We really appreciate you making time. Your question reads as follows. Can you advise your clients to buy land that the owner passed on some years ago? The children are selling. Yes, I would, as long as there's a clean title to it. Now, if the title is still in the deceased's name, even if it's the children who are selling, that's a no-go zone. Ideally, they should complete going through probate or succession, that's a legal terminology, where an administrator is appointed by a court to then make material decisions about that property in keeping with what the law requires. I mean, a dead person, a deceased individual cannot sell or transfer property, and neither can the children, unless the children's names are on the title and letters of administration have been issued by a court and the proper due process can be followed. Okay, so unless that's a situation, stay away. John, that's my advice to you. There's no wiggle room there, because who are you paying? Who's going to transfer it to you if the person on the title is moved to heaven? They're not here to sign documents. The children cannot do it for them unless they had power of attorney in advance. So get yourself a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya, one who specializes in conveyancing, to help you. Thank you for that question, John. My Happy Flow KE on TikTok. Thank you for tuning in. And your question is, hi, do you have any projects in Kikuyu Kamango area? Do you assist clients in these areas? We don't yet have any projects in Kikuyu or Kamango, but we're constantly scouting. We've actually looked at some in that area. We just couldn't come to terms with the landowners. And most of the time, the properties were not ideally located for our needs. We're very particular about where we buy land. And I've said before, there are places where even if you gave me land for free, I wouldn't take it. There's a lot that goes into deciding what is suitable. And we haven't quite found that in Kikuyu or Kamango, but we're looking. So I hope we do find something soon, because many have asked, and for good reason. It's a growing area. It's close to Nairobi. It only makes sense that people want to invest now. So stay tuned. Do we assist any clients in these areas? No, we are not agents or brokers. We only sell what we own. Neither are we advocates. So there is no real way for us to assist clients in these areas, even if it's about doing due diligence. Identify a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya to help you with your due diligence. We're happy to answer any questions along the way. Anything that we've learned in the past that might be helpful for your particular journey at this current moment. If you are considering something in that area, reach out. Happy to help. We don't charge for that, at least not yet. So do it while we're doing it for free, if we ever do charge. But all the best to you. And in case you need help with that process, please go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Again, that's www.grandacres.co.ke. Find the tab that says Grand Acres Checklists and download a free copy of it for yourself. It's the 9 steps to buying land safely in Kenya that we put together just for you. This has been informed by 11 and a half years of hard experience, real experience, empirical experience, buying and selling land in Kenya. Thousands, well, I should say over 1,000 acres worth of land, hundreds of transactions over that period of time. We know what we're talking about. It's not theory. And that checklist was informed by that experience. What you ought to do from step 1 all the way to 9 in sequence to buy land safely in Kenya, including how to identify a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya to help you. Okay, so download it for free. If you have friends, family, or loved ones, only the ones you like, send them the link as well so they can download it for themselves. Don't just send them the PDF. Make them do some work. It's free. We've done all the work. If you're serious, use your chubby fingers to get yourself to the website on the keyboard and download it for free. And you'll be on your way to doing this safely and in an informed manner. So, awesome question, and thank you for that. Washu, hey Washu, I was wondering where you are. Thank you for tuning in this week. As always, Washu is one of our favorite community members, a beloved customer of Grand Acres and Goshen Acquisitions. Our faces light up every time we see Washu has joined. So you're saying, where is Alive with the bankers? I missed it on Tuesday, got the times wrong, but can't find it on the Grand Acres Library. I'm sorry you missed that, Washu. We did do a live 1.5 hour session with NCBA, one of our bankers, and we happen to be their preferred land selling partner, something we're truly grateful for. And we did a live webinar for especially those in the diaspora. It's not on our library, Washu, because it was their event, not ours. I was an invitee. I was a guest on their webinar, but I'll see if I can get the link for you because I know it's available. They did record the webinar, and I'll make sure that you have that so you can watch it. It was super informative, particularly if you're going to be looking at exploiting bank financing, banking products to either buy land or unlock value in land you already own. If you want to develop it, if you want to borrow against it, whatever the case may be, if you want to build on it. So I'll send you that link, Washu, and you should be on your way to find out what that information was. Your next question is also that Acacia Cove visit you had recently, where you were you taking us along? Okay. The Acacia Cove visit recently, I guess this is the one from this week on Tuesday. We took the whole team at Grand Acres along with our partners, our marketing and influencer partners, many of whom are customers as well, to see our new site in Nanyuki and also Acacia Cove. No, that wasn't a public visit, Washu. That's why we didn't film it in its entirety. Also, because of the personalities that joined us on that trip, it wasn't appropriate for us to blast that publicly. But we did capture some photography and some content that we plastered on our social media handles. If there's anything specific you wanna see about that, Washu, just reach out. You know who to reach out to: Sumbua, Gladys, and Georgie, and they'll hook you up. But it was an amazing day. I wish you were there, Washu. It was almost as amazing as yours and Jojo's when you were here. And we look forward to doing more. Okay. Next question is from Running Doctor on TikTok. How important is trust to you guys as a company? Very important. Extremely important. The most important. Not sure how else to answer that, Running Doctor. It's everything. Without trust, you can't have a relationship of any kind whatsoever. You can't be friends with someone you don't trust. You certainly can't marry someone you don't trust. You can't do business with someone you don't trust. You can't even buy consumables from someone you don't trust. So, I mean, trust is everything. Everything. Very underrated quality and value in our society today. But suffice it to say, it is uber important, extra important, super important, super duper important. There you go. Mark Gasheru. Hey, Mark, you're watching us from YouTube. Thank you for making time to join us. Bwana Wangwe, good to see you. Thank you. When the government designates projects through private land, example, SGR, do the titles of the land revert back to the government after compensation is made? Yes, they do. It's called eminent domain. The government does have the right to take land even by force, even if you don't want to sell, doesn't matter. They have the authority to decide that they want it. If indeed it is for a project for the greater public good, certainly the SGR is one of those. Thika Superhighway was another one. The upcoming Mombasa Highway expansion is another. Roads, dams, whatever the government is doing that is for the greater public good, they have the constitutional authority and right to forcefully acquire the land. Now, they can't take it for free. They have to compensate you at valuation, market valuation, and it's a very specific and above board process. It can be interrogated publicly. There's many cases in courts today because someone in government tried to cut a corner and bully someone off of their land outside of the prescribed due process. And that doesn't fly, not in Kenya. People like land, people love land, people are very emotive about their land. So it's very difficult for government to sort of hoodwink people or exploit people. So it's a clean process that I'm happy about. Does the land revert back to government? Yes. Otherwise, they can't build on it, right? So yes, it does revert back to government land in some form or fashion, either surrendered to a ministry or registered to a county, whatever the case may be, or the situation calls for. Thank you for that question, Mark. Next one is from Healing with Nemo. Oh, that's a cool name. Healing with Nemo on Instagram. Hi, Nemo. Thank you for tuning in. And you're watching us from Instagram via Facebook. Your question reads as follows. At what point does one request for a survey map, and where does one get it from? And how important is it? Okay. One request for a survey map right from the beginning. If someone is going to show you a title deed that they're selling you, it needs to be accompanied by a survey map. Either it's a deed map, deed plan, or a registry index map, or a mutation form. They come in pairs. Get the appropriate ones for your kind of title. If it's leasehold, meaning maybe not leasehold. If it's a fixed boundary property, okay, most tend to be leasehold. It's going to be a deed plan and a deed map. Okay, if it's general boundary property, which most tend to be freehold, agricultural, it's going to be a mutation form and a registry index map. They have to accompany the title, so you ask for them immediately. If they don't have them, make them get them to you before you start. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. If they don't have them, I'm not interested. They're not serious about selling. They're not serious about their property ownership, because who owns property and doesn't have a survey map? Come on now. To your second part, where does one get it from? These are retrieved from the Department of Survey offices of the Ministry of Lands. Go to the relevant office for your area where your property is located, pay the required fee, obtain receipts, always have proper record that you followed due process in acquiring that map, and make sure that they certify it for you. Otherwise, it's not worth the paper it's been printed on. I could manufacture one with, Photoshop these days and AI. There's lots. We can do miracles in terms of reproducing fake documents. Okay, so make sure it's certified by the proper authority, which is why you need to pay for it. Don't accept it otherwise, and you're good to go. A surveyor can be very helpful in obtaining those for you. This is one of the things we recommend that you do in our 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. Go to our website, please, download it immediately, www.grandacres.co.ke. Find the tab that says checklist. And for those of you who are watching us on Facebook, everywhere but what? Instagram. Instagram and TikTok, you can't see it because we're projecting it using a really cool tool called StreamYard. If you're on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, you should be seeing this on the screen right now. That's the first page, the cover page of our 9 steps to buying land safely. It's an absolutely free resource we prepared just for you. Download it for free, share it with loved ones, One of those steps talks about how to hire a licensed advocate or a not an advocate, surveyor or a registered surveyor's assistant to help you. You cannot do this without these professionals. If you do, then you are extremely exposed to all manner of monkey business, including losing your money. So do the right thing, get the checklist, it's absolutely free, and you're well on your way. Is it important? A million percent. Maps are important. In fact, I have said this many times on record. In order of importance and priority in any property transaction, in my view, number one is the green card, because that is a document that gives birth to your title deed. Number two is your deed map or registry index map or deed plan. More important than your title deed. Number one, green card. Number two, the maps. Number three, your mutation forms. Number four is your title deed. The title deed is the least important document in that whole chain of documents. So yes, the maps are extremely important. Without the map, walk away or make the seller obtain one or correct it if it has an error before you proceed. Okay, especially today when the government is undertaking the title conversion as required by the Constitution, part of the digitization of government services at the Ministry of Lands is a title conversion process. The only way for you to get your new generation title deed as required by law, whenever they call upon you to surrender your current title for replacement, is the original title, your identification document, your PIN number, a duly filled form from Ardhi Sasa, application form for your title conversion, and your registry index map, updated registry index map or cadastral map, whichever one they prefer. I make a lot of reference to registry index maps because most of the times we're dealing with agricultural land that we're subdividing and so on. So those historical documents will typically be RIMs, but any one of the other cadastral maps, like the deed map, deed plan, will be relevant as well. So if they're not updated to specifically illustrate your specific parcel of land as referenced by the title deed, you will be disqualified from getting your title, your new generation title, until the problem is fixed. And how long is it going to take to fix? Who knows? Depends on how much dirt and mud they have to dig through historically to trace its origins from day one until now. So why expose yourself to that mess? Do the right thing. If the seller does not have a map yet, make them commit to getting you one in your completion documents, your list of completion documents, which will be a very specific clause in your sale agreement. If you work with a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya who knows how to prepare sale agreements consistent with the Law Society of Kenya's conditions of sale, make sure you have in there updated registry index map, certified copies of mutation forms or deed maps, deed plans, whatever the case may be, before you finish your transaction. Extremely important. I cannot overstress that. All the best to you healing with Nemo. Okay. Grand Acres to you and team. What's up, Osborne? Thank you. Grand Acres to you too. Good to see you, Osborne. Thank you for tuning in. You're tuning in from Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. Where? Yes, you are the North. Do I have to get a lawyer for all land transactions, even if I trust the land seller after a successful land transaction? Yes, Osborne. Yani Osborne, if you ever do a land transaction without a lawyer, we shall disown you at Grand Acres. We will deny that you were ever our customer. I'm saying that facetiously, Osborne, but please don't ever do that. Absolutely not. You need a licensed advocate to draft the sale agreement properly. Otherwise, you're exposed. And you have the time to do all the work that's required to effect a transfer of property from that person to yourself. It doesn't matter how much you like them. Listen, I just received inheritance from my dear dad and mom, my parents, most awesome parents in the world, for many reasons, not even this one. But recently, they granted my siblings and I ownership of their lands, various lands, as an early inheritance. How awesome is that? It's my dad. I trust my dad. It's his land. There's no issues. I know the land. I grew up on the land. So did he. And there's a million witnesses in the village. There's no issue about who owns the land. But even in that process, I I got a licensed advocate to help my dad and I effect the transfer of those lands from himself to myself. Okay? It doesn't matter how much you like the seller and how much you trust them. This is a legal process. The court doesn't care who your seller was and how lovey-dovey you are with each other. If something is done wrong, you are exposed terribly. So save yourself and your lovely seller with whom you have excellent rapport the pain and embarrassment of having to fix problems later. Yes, work with a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Please. Okay? Osborne? Okay. Last question. We have 4 minutes. Maybe we have time for more than one. Where I can't, what is that? RMTEL842365.uk on Instagram. Whoever you are, thank you for tuning in. And your question reads as follows. I'm a law student, and to be honest, I passed my unit about property law by being an avid viewer of your online content, especially on due diligence. Wow. Are you kidding me? I'm going to read that again for myself. I am a law student, and to be honest, I passed my unit about property law by being an avid viewer of your online content, especially on due diligence. Man, thank you so much for that kind compliment. I wish I could take credit. I didn't invent any of the things we share. That's just the law. That's the law that we work with and exist in. All we do is share it. It's public information. But thank you so much for consuming the content, and I'm so blessed that it helped you pass your units. Man, that's amazing. And congratulations to you. Massive congratulations to you. That's an awesome comment. Amma?
Sure.
What? Okay, we need to start charging for. Thank you so much for that. Okay, here's another one from WhatsApp. 3 quick ones. Number 1, what is the best way to market land for sale in a rural area? Where? Okay, the best way to market land for sale in a rural area. I don't think there's such a thing as the best way, really. You have to respond to the specific market, whatever that is. In some markets, they respond better to signposts. In some markets, they respond better to brokers or agents. In others, they respond better to newspaper advertisements. In others, TV, word of mouth referrals can never go wrong with those. I mean, you simply have to assess your market, whoever you are. I can't tell, your name from the number, but the best way to market land for sale in a rural area, respond to the market, do your research, ask around, and do that. The basic principle is this: go to where the people are, wherever that is. If it's social media, go there. Okay, if it's barazas, go there. If it's SACCOs and chamas, go there. If it's banks, if it's a newspaper, if it's TV, if it's influencers, but specific influencers who have a big following in that area, go there. Vernacular radio stations are a very good example. Very effective because they reach a particular demographic. So wherever it is your market people are, go there. Okay, that's the best answer I can give you. Local brokers have been a pain. Okay, they tend to be because they're not licensed, they're not regulated. I have been to people's homes and the house girl or house help, knowing that we are land people, approached and said they had a property available for sale and that if I bought it, they were entitled to a commission. And we were talking about a property that was worth hundreds of millions of shillings in Westlands. The house help all of a sudden was a broker because they could get me in touch with a landowner. Comes with the territory. Hopefully, our Kenyan regulatory framework will catch up with that situation and put in place structures where people get proper training and understand the risks involved in being a broker or an agent. But yes, I feel your pain. That's why we don't work with brokers or agents usually. Um, I'd rather do the work myself, honestly. Unless they're a licensed agent or broker, those are known. You can check them out. The Tysons, the Knight Franks, the blah blah blah, Palm Goldings, all the other lesser known ones. Yeah, it is what it is. Number two, how safe is it to share land title ID PIN with potential buyers for such purposes? It's not safe, guys. I mean, you're disclosing very sensitive data. So we don't do that. The only time we are okay sharing our particulars for a buyer to do due diligence is after they have signed a letter of offer and paid a deposit. Even if it's a reservation deposit, 10% is our standard number because that's a Law Society of Kenya's recommended minimum deposit for a legally binding property transaction with a sale agreement prepared according to the Law Society of Kenya's conditions of sale. Okay? Unless that has happened, I'm sorry, you're not getting my details or our details. So it's not safe. Do it right. Manage the process. Make sure you're dealing with serious individuals only. Never share those details unless they have signed a letter of offer, which is very specific about how much time they have to do their due diligence before they need to sign a sale agreement and start the process properly. Okay? Number three, why is your choice of locomotion the Discovery 4 over, say, the J150 Prado? Comfort, pretty much. Also, the Disco 4 has pretty amazing torque. I've driven them all. You name it. My first vehicle for land scouting was a beautiful Toyota East IST, tiny little doo-doo. That was a beautiful gift from my father-in-law when I got married. And that served me amazingly for 4 or 5 years, starting the business. The places that thing took me without issue. It's a beast, man. Toyota IST. My goodness. If you can get one, in fact, I should probably buy one again, just for fun. That car was amazing. I've driven Prados, I've driven Nissan Patrols, I've used Range Rovers, Land Rovers, you name it, all of them, Defenders. I love the Disco because it's the most comfortable one I have been in to this date. Yes, even more than the Y62 Patrol. And also torque. Torque is important when you're off-roading in muddy terrain. And the Discovery is the only vehicle I would compare to a Disco 4 is a Defender. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. And I'm speaking from my experience. So maybe there's a little bit of bias there, but Disco 4, mambo yote. Thank you so much. There goes Jyoti. Exposing our land scouting vehicle. I'm so grateful for these sessions. It's now 4 minutes past 8. I'm sorry for going over. We like to respect your time because you have shared this precious moment of your evening with us. And so I will end it there for now because time is money and money buys land. We love you all. We look forward to the next live session for next week. Stay tuned. Tell your friends and family. Get them all into these sessions and let's have a good time. Grand acres to you. Cheers.
I have to still do this. Nafaa kujintroduce ndio.
Hello, my name is Branch Manzi.
Mr. O to the G, Calligraph Jones.
Jackie VK.
Solomon Wangwe.
Jina ni Abel Mutua.
Judy Nyawera.
Ben Psycho.
And my name is Wanjiru.
Nimejita Crazy Kena bwana hadi nikasahau jina langu. In the streets they call me superstar, in the streets they call me baby.
Hapo sawa, shika hizi sasa.
Excuse me, madam.
Ni nini?
Kabisa.
We have been subjected to some incriminating questions.
Kwenda huko, unakuja kuniambia excuse kitu gani?
Wewe?
Na maswali ni zile za bank.
We good? We rolling?